Hello children, today we will see the book questions in chapter Environment. So the first question, why are some substances biodegradable and non-biodegradable? Biodegradable, we say some substances, those substances which can be broken down into simpler substances by the action of bacteria or microorganisms. We can add what are the examples of microorganisms like bacteria or saprophytes. So we say those organisms, those substances which can be broken down into simpler substances by the action of bacteria or microorganisms are called biodegradable substances. Example, cotton, wood, paper, wool, the few examples. So what are non-biodegradable substances? Substances that cannot be broken down into simpler substances by the action of enzymes secreted by microorganisms like bacteria or saprophytes. They are called as the non-biodegradable substances. Example are plastic, polythene and DDT. Next question. Give any two ways in which biodegradable substances would affect the environment. So biodegradable substances which will affect the environment. So what do you say? During decomposition process we get one foul smell and release of some harmful gases which will make a problem for the person living nearby. So during the decomposition we get a foul smell and it releases some harmful gases like methane gases. The next is, suppose if in the decomposition that place will be a breeding ground for mosquitoes, insects and microbes which will be responsible for the other diseases like cholera and diarrhea. The decomposition site, it will be a breeding ground for the mosquitoes. So those are the disadvantages of biodegradable substances. We have to talk about the decomposition site and the process. Then we will say how the non-biodegradable substances would affect the environment. So how they are going to affect the environment? That chemicals like DDT will cause diseases in the respiratory, skin, respiratory infections in humans. So we will use the first point as the non-biodegradable substances will cause skin, respiratory infections, and also they do not decompose easily, so it produces land and water pollution. These 2 points we will use. And next, like the chemicals will produce cancer in the humans, but main point is the ticked points. We will say the disadvantages of non-biodegradable substances, that is it causes skin and respiratory infections, and also since they don't decompose easily, it produces land and water pollution. Next question, what are tropic levels? Give an example of a food chain and state the different tropic. What is tropic level? The various steps in food chain in which transfer of energy, food energy takes place is called as a tropic level. The various steps in a food chain is called as the tropic level. So each level, stage or level in a food chain is nothing but the tropic level. So we'll just take the grassland food chain. So first level is grass, which is the first tropic level, for eaten by the insects. Second tropic level, insect is eaten by the frog. Third tropic level and the highest tropic level, then frog is eaten by the snake, or the frog is eaten by the birds, which forms the fourth tropic level. So what is the role of decomposers in the ecosystems? So what are decomposers? They are microorganisms like fungi. So basically they are the saprophytes like fungi and bacteria. So they are the microorganisms like fungi and bacteria that act on the dead and decaying bodies of producers and break them into simple inorganic compounds. Then what they do? They absorb some of the substances and release the rest into the environment to be cycled into the soil. So what is the First point, what are they? Decomposers are the microorganisms that is going to break down the dead and decaying bodies of the producers. Then they convert them into simple inorganic compounds. Then what they do? So whatever the substances they broken down, that is released into the environment or into the soil. So once they introduce into the soil, this will be used by the plants. So and also they help in the make the soil fertile. So they make the soil fertile. And the next point would be, last point would be, they help in the natural replenishment of the soil. Natural replenishment of the soil. These are the advantages of the decomposers. So the first advantage is the decomposers are fungi and bacteria. They break down the dead and decaying bodies of the producers into simple inorganic compounds. So whatever those after breaking down, they are given into the soil. So then it is used by the plants. It also makes the soil fertile and helps in the natural nourishment, replenishment of the soil. So whatever substances are broken down, they are put into the soil. So decomposers are nothing but saprophytes and the bacteria. Next question, what is ozone? How does it affect the ecosystem? So ozone is given by the molecular formula O3 is ozone, and ozone is formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. So ozone actually, if it is there in the ozone, it is formed, we can write this formula. So O2, in the presence of UV, gets separated into 2 atoms, oxygen atoms. Then 1 molecule of oxygen gets combined with this oxygen atom to give you ozone. So this is how ozone is formed. Then the ozone is actually a deadly poison on the earth's surface. 2 points. On the earth's surface, it is going to be a deadly poison. But at the higher levels of atmosphere called stratosphere, in stratosphere, it is going to be it is going to perform an essential function, that is, it shields the surface of the earth from ultraviolet radiation which is coming from the sun. So actually we can say ozone, it is both advantage and disadvantages. Disadvantages, on the earth surface it is a deadly poison, but it is on the stratosphere, in a higher level of atmosphere, it is going to protect us from the UV radiations. So if it is not protecting the UV radiation is harmful to the, it causes skin cancer, cataract, and damages the immune system. Which one? The UV rays from the sun. It also destroys the plants. So what was the main reason how the ozone was given out? So because the ozone, which was actually level of ozone was started decreasing because of a compound called chlorofluorocarbon. Because of this, ozone level dropped. If ozone level is dropped, it cannot protect us from the UV radiations. So they banned this usage of chlorofluorocarbons. So next question, how can you help in reducing the problem of waste disposal? So we can say one is to be use of recycled articles, promoting the use of and separating the waste as biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste, first one. So second is recycling the non-biodegradable waste material. So these are the some ways we can reduce the problem of waste disposal.